Hello everyone, welcome to StudyIQ English. In the news right now is United Nations Convention Against Cybercrime. It all happened as the Supreme Court of India has asked the central government to decide whether India has ratified or not the well-known UN Convention Against Cybercrime. All this happened as the Supreme Court has been hearing a court case regarding digital arrest scam. And the court has issued a strict no bail order, as well as proposed clearly that from now onwards CBI should take over all such cases of cyber fraud happening across India. So in the video here, in a very short, crisp way, let's have a look at what is the convention all about and whether India will benefit from ratifying it or not. So now, having a look at the United Nations Convention Against Cybercrime, it is the first universal legally binding treaty. So do remember, a very important topic for GS Paper 2 International Relations as well as GS Paper 3 Cyber Security. So yes, it is the first universally legally binding treaty to combat cybercrime, to mitigate cyber fraud. The convention, developed by United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, was adopted by a consensus agreement under the UN General Assembly Resolution 79-243 in 2024. And do remember, it's the first legally binding UN instrument on cybercrime. It will enter into force only if 40 signatories are able to ratify this treaty. That's an important clause here. And now looking at what does the treaty really propose? Then this convention that was adopted for signature in Vietnam in October 2025 has now been signed by about 72 countries. Okay, and it was signed at a very high level conference, but let's remember it will enter only into force 90 days after the ratification, the signature by these many countries is complete. And now looking at the implementation mechanism, how will this work? So this Convention Against Cybercrime will work through a conference of state parties. This will monitor and review the implementation of the entire treaty. What does the treaty propose? One of the clear-cut provisions of the treaty is cross-border sharing of electronic evidence. Very important that countries will cooperate each other in sharing, extending electronic evidence of the crime in case the crime is of a serious nature, such as illegal data interception, such as hacking, money laundering and online sexual abuse material pursuing or pervading to children in association with children. Now, very important. Recently, the DPDP Act of 2023 was also in the news as the government decided to finally implement it now in 2025, and there was a controversy right now, just 2 days before, about whether the PWD, people with benchmark disabilities, should be a separate category. And there was a confusion about why right now the categories of child and the PWD are merged with each other. It was a major concern in the DPDP Act, and do remember that also. Now, with regards to the UN Treaty Against Cybercrime, there is one more protocol here that nations will together work on capacity development and provide technical assistance to each other. In this, it is the foremost duty of the developed countries to provide technical financial help to developing nations, something very similar to the same clause we studied in Conference of Parties 30 at Brazil. Remember, we spoke about common but differentiated responsibility mechanism, carbon finance, $1 trillion support for climate mitigation by 2035 is the demand for developing countries. Similarly, here also, the developing countries should be supported by technical assistance and capacity building to fight cybercrime. And another protocol under the same treaty is that human rights will also be protected alongside digital law enforcement. Now, with that in mind, what has the Supreme Court in India said? Supreme Court has observed how the cases of digital arrest are on the rise. And what exactly do we mean by digital arrest? A quick understanding, it is a very advanced, sophisticated kind of crime where criminals are impersonating themselves as law enforcement agencies. They could pose as the ED, Enforcement Directorate. They could pose as CBI, Customs or Police, and they will just make the victim believe that the victim has broken some cyber law or the victim is engaged in money laundering. They will just accuse the victim, and by showing fake documents, by showing spoof phone numbers, they create a sense of emergency, a sense of urgency. The victims are then deluded into believing that yes, they are, with immediate effect, under virtual arrest, under online surveillance. And that's a very dangerous thing, because sometimes these people are also able to force the victims to pay a good amount of money to bail themselves out. A very common crime that's happening with elderly individuals and professionals, the most frequent targets here. And that's why the Supreme Court of India today has observed and told the central government that India must consider ratifying the United Nations Convention Against Cybercrime, because making an effort all alone is very difficult. It will be difficult for India to manage, coordinate, track the cases of cyber fraud without getting coordination, data and support from other countries. So therefore, it is highly in the well-being of our society that yes, the government does ratify this convention right now. Also, the Solicitor General has informed the court that India has not yet ratified the treaty, but now due to the urgency of the cyber crimes and its impact on people, perhaps as per Supreme Court's direction, the government will mull over ratifying the treaty with immediate effect. And now quickly let me show you a practice question here. Consider the following statements. 1. The United Nations Convention Against Cybercrime is the first globally negotiated treaty dedicated to combat cybercrime. It was adopted by United Nations General Assembly in 2024. Second, the convention makes it compulsory, mandates the states to criminalize core cyber offences and establish mechanisms for cross-border sharing of electronic evidence. 3. India has already ratified the UN Convention Against Cybercrime, and India is a member of its Conference of State Parties. So which of these statements do you think is or are correct? It's an easy question. Try to answer and keep us posted with any opinion, any perspective that you have on this topic, which is non-political and UPSC relevant. A quick reminder to those aspirants who are writing the UPSC exam 2027. You are in absolutely good time right now. No time to waste, but lots of time to utilize for being successful in UPSC. Yes, the preparation is vast, and the answer is success in UPSC by GSP2I Foundation course. That's the solution, because we cover prelims preparation, mains preparation also, guide you and provide personality grooming for our proper dedicated interview guidance program. How does this work? You get access to all the GS papers 1 to 4, plus essay writing, answer writing, prelims, CSAT, and a heavy discount on the optional of your choice in English. Complete course available in Hindi as well, in bilingual as well. Now admissions to this batch are closing on 25th November. So take a decision today. Ensure your success for the upcoming 2027 exam and use code SPLIVE, because the price is extremely humble and you get entire UPSC preparation in return. Same features for UPSC 2028 target year. All GS plus prelims mains training, basic interview guidance also will be given as a part of it. One-on-one mentor support. That's very crucial. So use code SPLIVE and enroll for the course, because again admissions are closing on 24th November at this very small price for a very hefty return in exchange. So for now, thank you so much for being with us.